Surprising results from a new study by the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. The number of young people ages 15 to 24 who have never had sex actually rose 6% in the past decade to 28%. Why are more teens and young adults abstaining? Here to shed some light is our early show contributor, Dr. Jennifer Hartstein, who is a child, adolescent, and family psychologist. Jen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Russ.
Were you surprised by the results of this study?
I was surprised, actually. I still have some questions. It's really nice to see that teens are being more responsible, maybe having sex less. That still says 72% are having sex, so noteworthy number to kind of keep in mind that a quarter are still having it, but how neat that it is coming down. Really interesting. Why
do you think, according to this study, that fewer teens are having sex?
I think there are a lot of things to factor in. I think we have to factor in family involvement. I think parents being involved with their kids, knowing more about what's going on with them, key, always important piece. I think school sex ed is starting younger, which is we always question, but I think the earlier we educate our children, the more they know for later. And lastly, in some of the reports it says teens are just too busy. They're so overtaxed. They're in school, they're having jobs, they're at sports, they're friends. They don't have time for relationships and they don't have time for sex.
It is not high on their list of priorities.
It is not high on their list of priorities, and maybe that's a good thing because then they're focusing on themselves and what they want to do to build a life towards the future, and so it's going to have decreases in problems with self-esteem, problems with relationships, those kinds of things.
I think many of us were happy but surprised, as you were, when we saw this report. I mean, sex is everywhere. You watch TV. There's no such thing as the family hour anymore on television. You turn on television, it's everywhere. Do you think in some way kids are seeing that on television and in the media and are rejecting this?
I do. I think they're inundated with these sexual images, so they're almost numb to it. You know, we have had all these conversations about skins and how this is going to have all these teenagers having sex and drinking and drugging.
It's a television show.
It's a television show on MTV, and how it was going to be this really bad image for our children, and no one's really watching it because they just don't care about it that much. It's not part of their lifeline. And we have to be aware of the fact that, interestingly, the bombardment of imagery, the bombardment of sex messages might just be like, meh, who cares? It's no big deal. It's not like that excitement of having to find it.
Down 6%, kids having sex down 6%. Are we seeing a similar decrease in teen pregnancy?
Yes, we are. There has definitely been a decrease in teen pregnancy over the past few years. There are some exceptions to that rule, but overall there's been a decrease. Terrific news. Maybe the things like those TV shows 16 and Pregnant, Teen Mom, that are really showing the hardships of being a parent of a child while you're a teenager might be great PSAs, might be great public service announcements for our teens to not get pregnant.
Based on what you're seeing, based on the people you talk to, do you expect this decline to continue?
Hard to say. I have my doubts about how we're defining what we're defining. So I think it'd be nice if it can, and it shows our kids really focusing on taking care of themselves and not having sex to build relationships. It'd be great if we could see it go that way. I'm curious to see what happens in the next study.
Yeah, down 6%, not down 50%.
Exactly.
Put it in perspective.
Exactly. I think that's important to remember. And parents need to stay involved in order to really keep that number going down.
So true. Jen Hartstein, as always, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Russ.
And for more on teens and sex, you can go to our partner in health, webmd.com, and search teen sexuality activity.